Hello again, and if this is your first time here, welcome. Please do check out the other episodes, and after you have obviously listened to this one, there's no running theme. Every episode is tried to center around a different theme, so go and check them out. Leave a comment, drop a like, have a give me some criticism, whether that be constructive, even if it is negative, even if you want to tell me that I'm terrible and I should go back to my day job, fine. I don't care. But in terms of actual criticism and actual advice on how I should approach these, or if you want to even feature on it, go for it. I know that at this moment in time, I'm a very small channel. I'm just starting out, but everyone's got to start from somewhere. So it is what it is. But today, I just want to talk to you guys about the everyday, because the everyday can be hard, or every day can be hard. It depends on which way you look at it, and I don't want to sound like the person at the end of the phone telling you to, run a bath, go for a walk, have a cup of tea, listen to music, any of the usual things that you get told when you're in distress. I'm a little bit more upbeat compared to the previous episode, and if you did listen to the previous episode, you understand why. It's, yeah, for any person going through something, whether that would be anything stress related, whether it be long term stress, depression, anything. The one thing that is always difficult is getting out of bed. Whether you are a night worker, a night owl, insomniac, day worker, morning worker, any kind of person, right? When you get out of bed when you first wake up. I'm not gonna situate it's just mornings, because you could get up at 9 o'clock at night and that is considered your morning because you have work at 11 o'clock and you don't get home till 7. So you know, getting out of bed is always the hardest part. Is you wake up, you're all comfy, you read through your phone, you catch up on whatever you've missed from, whether it be in the news, your social media feed, your YouTube, your TikToks. Your friends sent like 80 of them that you need to catch up on. You know, you spend your first sort of anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes or 30 minutes to an hour, laid in bed, getting yourself slowly ready for the day. Some people don't. Some people don't leave the bed at all. Obviously, for various amounts of reasons, I'm not going to be exclusive and I'm going to try and be inclusive here. But getting out of bed is always the hardest part. And I'm not going to tell you, you. I'm not going to advise you on what you should do. I'm more just being empathetic and relating to it, because it is hard to get out of bed every day or every night or at all, because your bed is where you can be your most vulnerable. Your bed is where you can be, is where you feel safe, where you can feel like you can let all the walls down. And obviously, when you're asleep, you're in a very vulnerable state. So when you wake up in the morning, you are in a vulnerable state because you've been there all night. No one's really disturbed you, or if you've slept, or you haven't slept at all. So it's no wonder that you wake up and you don't want to leave it. You don't want to leave that state of safety, even though you're at your most vulnerable point. So when you do eventually get yourself out of bed because you need the toilet, some people go straight back to bed. I, I tried to be up. Once I'm up, I'm up. I, yeah. For me personally, if I am going to slob it around all day, I'd rather do it on the sofa rather than in bed. Your bed is the most isolated place you could be. Whether you're with someone, you're not with someone, it is the most isolated place you can be. It's where you're left in the dark, in the quiet, with your own thoughts, and nothing but your own thoughts guide you. I can't fall asleep with anything on, really, because it just ends up flooding my brain and I have to think about what I'm listening to or what I'm watching. If I'm really tired, then it's not an issue, but well, whether, and it's okay to do this. As I'm not saying you need to get out of bed. You need to do this. You need to do that. just I know personally that I'd rather, if I'm going to do nothing all day, I'd rather be sat on the sofa, so at least I know I'm out of bed. But even then, sometimes you need to leave the house, but leaving the house is effort. Everything becomes effort when you're in a, you know, in a dark place or a vulnerable place, or however you choose to label it, define it, explain it, justify it. You know, and then you try and make yourself something to eat, and you look in the house, and you don't find anything that you want, so then you end up going to the shop, and then you look around Tesco or Asda or Morrison's, whatever, or Walmart or Costco, or don't know really the names of many 7-Eleven, American, or anything, you know. I could go on and list so many supermarkets. No, I can't because I don't know that many. I don't know why I said that. I seem to be on a bit of a tangent right now. But, you know, and then you look around, you pick yourself a couple of bits and pieces, and go home, you make yourself some food, and you sit there and you put on something to drown yourself out. And then you think to yourself, you got to get ready for work, or you got to get ready to go out, and things like that. And you try and find your driving force, and you end up doing it so autonomously that you don't realize you're doing it. And that's okay. A lot of people will try and tell you to find yourself and find your inner, your vice, your hobbies, your interests, what gets you up in the morning. Find your spirit, and it's not that simple. When you're stuck in a hole with nothing but your own force to guide you, it becomes a little bit difficult to focus everything outside of your head. It becomes very difficult to focus on anything that isn't what you're going through and what you're feeling in that moment. You know, that in itself becomes like a drive because it's the one thing that you're trying to get sorted. But it's hard and it's difficult. You do so much studying for an exam that ends up defining who you are. And that is a bit of a school metaphor. That isn't literally. When you're going through something, whether it be a loss of a loved one, something traumatic, which can be the loss of a loved one, depending subjective to how it is. When you go, right, I'm gonna retake that. Anything traumatic. When you go through something traumatic, it pushes the mind into a state of freeze. You are then trying to process how it happened, why it happened, when it happened. You ask yourself so many questions. And you go into this autonomous thing where you spend your every waking day and every waking night or thinking about it. So it becomes then you study it, you replicate it in your mind, you think what could have gone differently, or you try and you can almost try and improve on it by coming up with various scenarios for the event and how it happened, and you start circling the drain on a regular basis, trying to find that answer as to how you move past it. But then there's part of you that doesn't want to move past it because you want closure, or you want an answer, or you want a miracle to happen. Or obviously I'm talking subjectively, it doesn't apply in every situation. I'm more speculating and more trying to navigate my way through the mind and how it is when it comes down to things. Your subconscious, when you tap into your subconscious, you realize how much your subconscious is doing. Whether it would be vocally or whether it would be quietly, you spend so much time thinking about it. And I know that I speak a lot of dribble a lot of the time. If you do manage to navigate your way through my own madness when it comes down to doing these podcasts, please let me know. Or, tell me that I should be a little bit more structured, but, it is what it is. Well, so you're navigating your way through an event, traumatic. You're going through the 7 stages of grief. When you finally come to acceptance, you stand there in front of it and you look at it and go, I don't want to accept it. You stand there for ages. You don't want to accept it. You sit on the edge between, the moving on point and the accepting point of whatever it is you've gone through. And this could have taken you years, many, many, many years to get to the acceptance stage. Because that's the thing. The whole subject of the 7 stages of grief is not a linear path. Nothing in life is a linear path. We use these structured pathways and systems in order to try and make our lives linear, but our lives are not linear. They are defined by moments and decisions in seconds. Words can affect your future forever. Actions can affect your future forever. You are playing the role-playing game that is life. When you're playing something like Fallout or Skyrim, those key second decisions are more like a couple of minutes. It's slowed down, so yeah, in some cases they get it where it's literally, you do something and you get a pop-up saying Codsworth liked that. But life is not a linear path. So every day is different, and every day could define your future. Every day can grant you a new opportunity. Every day can teach you a different thing. Help you refine a skill. Help you, every day matters. And this is the whole point of, the podcast, is towards improving mentally every day. It's like what Master Uguay says. Yesterday was history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That is why they call it the present. It's true. And because life isn't linear, and because nothing is defined, you are the writer of your own narrative. At the end of the day. So if you spend every day going slowly, trying to recuperate, fine. No, you don't get any younger. But that's the thing. And it's easy enough for me to say this, and someone could watch this and ultimately do something that threatens their existence. And it happens. And I know many people that have been in that position where they do want to do something like that. I've known many people that, have said that. But the way I see it, and being a spiritualist, is your death isn't written until death writes it himself. Everyone has their date on a calendar, in the end. Think about events. Its events can be, pushed forward. No, pushed back or pulled forward. Again, it's not linear. Nothing in life is linear. You only get taught to be linear because it's a sense of normality. And obviously, in my last episode, I spoke a lot about what is normal. Everyone's normal is different. Society's norms are different depending on where you are. And normality is a construct, or designed to order things, control things, structure things. You know, is that in itself linear? No. And I'm not saying use every day as a, utilize every day. Don't. You don't have to. If you want to spend the day being a couch potato, watching some crappy TV, or playing games, or, watching movies, or whatever it is that you do in your spare time, fine. There is such a stigmatism around it. There is such stigmatism about people that are depressed, that are just lazy, that are just unmotivated. I'll give you a little bit of insider knowledge. Everyone that is depressed is motivated in some way. But it's the drive to do it is a completely different thing. Most people, and yeah, do you know what? Someone could turn around and say, where's the statistics? There we go. Statistics for that. Don't need statistics to prove it. It's about what goes on in the mind. You could do 1 million tests. People will say they're not motivated. It could be anything. You could literally be anything. Whether that be, I want to do this today. I wanted to do that yesterday. Motivation is not a grandeur. It could be the smallest of things. Whether it be positive, whether it be negative, whether it be in the middle. It's not the finding the motivation that's difficult, it's the finding the drive. And they're two very different things. People could be motivated to get better, but how do they go about getting better? How do they drive to get better? How do they bring themselves into a new normal for them, or improve on their normal or their normality? Think about it. You could wake up and you lay in bed for a couple of hours, and then you finally say to yourself, I'm going to get out of bed. That is your motivation. I think of motivation as a completion of trying to drive for a completion of a simple task. And you get out of bed. And that's an accomplishment. You go make yourself something to eat. So you're motivated to make something to eat. So you make something to eat. Then you're motivated to sit on the sofa. So you sit on the sofa. You're motivated to go for a walk. So you go for a walk. Motivation is in this case, it's the delegation of tasks that you set out for yourself, that you find the drive to do. But the thing is this isn't happening consciously, this is happening subconsciously. And then when you tap into your subconscious and realize that is what you're doing, then you can start thinking about the bigger things. You slowly make your way up. This is why they say baby steps, because baby steps are the demo trials for finding your motivation and finding your drive, and to utilizing your motivation and utilizing your drive. It doesn't have to be, as I said, these big moments of grandeur where you motivate yourself to try and get better and seek therapy or go back to work or even go to work. There is very much a difference between drive and motivation. Driving is doing it. Driving is the physical aspect. Motivational is the mental aspect. If you don't have the motivation to do something, but you have the drive, that is the autonomous. Is it the autonomous? Let me try and rephrase it. If you don't have the drive, but you have the motivation, you try to equalize it. If you don't have the motivation, but you have the drive, you try to equalize it. You don't have to do it straight away. You don't have to do it in these great big leaps. Let me put it in an example. You've been meaning to go to the doctors, and you've been trying to motivate yourself in your head about going to the doctors, but every time you go to walk out that door, you feel like you physically can't. So instead, what you decide to do is walk towards the doctors. But instead, you go into a shop and you buy yourself a drink, get yourself a snack, and you walk home. A few hours go by, or a couple of days go by, do the same thing again. You leave your house, you walk towards the doctors, and you walk past, you end up going to, say, a video shop or CX or something like that. Buy yourself a film or a game. You go to the shop, buy yourself a snack, a drink, maybe something for dinner, and you walk home. And then on the third attempt, you finally you walk past the shop, you walk past CEX, you walk past the takeaway, and you get to the doctor's surgery. You go to the doctor's, you book an appointment, you go to your appointment, you walk back, grab yourself a takeaway, grab yourself a film or a game, grab yourself snacks and a drink, and then you go home. The point of that, and the point of that whole segment, was to suggest, was to emphasize on baby steps. Things don't have to be done with a sense of urgency unless they are urgent. If you don't deem them to be urgent, don't force them to be urgent. You know, as I've said before, if you overthink on the bigger things, the smaller things will seem unachievable. Just gotta do the little things first. Don't rush it. Don't have to. You have every day to do so. And when you have every day, you have time. And this is the whole thing. People have this such grasp of normality that everyone has to be married with kids and a house, with a career and a job by the time you're 30 years old. That's a lot of pressure. An unnecessary amount of pressure. The thing is, they don't think about the economy. They don't think about society. They don't think about cultures. They don't think about conditions and diseases and illnesses or disorders or anything. There's so many variables as to why that isn't achievable. That is why you don't have to follow it. At the time I'm recording, and if you're listening to this, whether it be today, today, year's time, whatever, the date of this recording is the 18th of August, 2024. If you're listening to this in a couple of years' time because you're catching up on the episodes, or it's literally just come up and you're recommended, think about where you were 2 years ago from the date of this recording. And then think about where you were 2 years before the date of this recording. And then think about what you've achieved, or what you've done, or how you've done. You are not the same person you were then. You're not the same person you were today, and you won't be the same person you were in the future. So give yourself some time. That's all I'm suggesting. Is to give yourself some time. Doesn't need to be grand, doesn't need to be big, doesn't need to be huge. You just take every day as it comes and do one thing at a time. Because at the end of the day, you are the master of your own narrative. So, with that being said, you get to decide your future. No one else. People will say no, but you say yes. And that's how I've gone about doing things. Obviously, the whole thing with no is subjective to what the scenario is. But if someone says no from a career, and you want that career, you go for it. Until you get a yes. Because if you're not wanted by one person, someone will want you. Someone will. And that's, I've done it. And believe me, there are countless of other celebrities that have said no, been told no, and they've still ended up doing it anyway. Because the world is too competitive. The world is majorly competitive. But don't compete. Just be. Because the people that compete are the ones that end up in defeat. And the people that just be are the ones that will more often than not see. Now, take of that what you will. I hope that these podcasts, and I say this every episode, because I took 2 months to record one. If you get any help or any guidance or any clarity from these, or whatever you get from them, I hope it's positive. Leave a comment, don't leave a comment, do whatever. But, as they say, or as I say, towards improving mentally every day takes time. So that being said, I'll see you soon.